Here's a bit of a story about the mighty in the small. First a bit today, then a bit every day. A bit for the rainy days and a bit for the special days. A bit here and there and a bit near and back home. A bit for you and a bit for me. Always up to me. At Azteco, we believe in the collective power of the little bits. So we give choice to all the bits that count, making it easy for everyone, everywhere to get Bitcoin and use it in their lives. Azteco Bitcoin vouchers for every bit of life.
Hi, I'm Kristen Kovner, and I have the pleasure of being here with Akin Fernandez, who is the founder and CEO of Azteco. Welcome, Akin.
Thank you for having me, Kristen.
To get us started and set the stage a bit, can you please just give us a snapshot of how large the unbanked problem is globally? How big is this issue, and what do people face?
The problem of the unbanked globally is surprisingly large. In a first world country like the UK, there are 1 million people who don't have access to financial rails, which is an astonishing statistic. And in the United States, I believe there are around 16 million, and so on and so forth. In the G20, there are many, many millions of people who don't have access to financial rails. And in total, I think the world number is around 1.7 billion people who are quote unquote unbanked. So this is a very, very large problem. And they are an untapped resource economically of people who could participate in the global internet e-commerce economy, but who can't, and for no good reason other than there isn't a good payment rail for them to use in order to participate. So I think this is a very interesting and serious problem that deserves attention and which hasn't been attended to properly because essentially the means to fix it hasn't existed.
Well, let's talk a bit more about that. So traditional financial institutions have, in many cases, failed to serve the unbanked population effectively. Can you speak to some of the systemic barriers that contribute to their exclusion?
Well, the systemic barriers are mostly regulatory and not technical. In order to have a bank account, you have to be able to identify yourself to a standard that the bank will accept. And because these banks come mostly from the West or from a Western mindset, their ideas of an adequate identification of a person are different from what many people can achieve realistically. And so you have a huge constituency of people who can't identify themselves to a standard to get them a bank account, which means they're essentially left out and not able to participate. And that's one thing. But the fact that the number is so large and relatively ignored is, as far as I'm concerned, a scandal. So that's the real reason why we have an unbanked problem on Earth, is that the rules that allow companies to serve people are onerous, excessive, and inappropriate for the billions of people who have been excluded.
So you all have chosen Bitcoin as the medium through which to empower the unbanked population. Could you explain why you see Bitcoin specifically as the most suitable and viable solution for tackling the issue of financial exclusion?
The reason why Bitcoin is so suitable, well, there's many reasons. I think first of all, practically, because Bitcoin is an open source network that anybody can build a service for, that makes it ideally suited to serve billions of people very, very quickly. Now, I think there's 1 billion people on WhatsApp, and WhatsApp gained that billion people in 4.5 years. So I think it's possible for us to onboard a similar number of people, if not more, using Bitcoin because it's totally frictionless in order to get people onto the rails to be able to use it. Now, most of the people who, let's just take the WhatsApp constituency, they're all on smartphones, but they don't yet have Bitcoin wallets. Once they have Bitcoin wallets, they'll be able to send, spend, and save in Bitcoin directly on their mobile phones. And onboarding them won't be any more onerous than somebody starting up WhatsApp for the first time. And so I think that's going to be the key to get these two demographics to overlap and to somehow impart the understanding of how powerful Bitcoin is to these people so that they can instantly take on a Bitcoin wallet, an ethical Bitcoin wallet, hopefully, and then start using it as a synthetic form of money. And then all of a sudden, you'll find that there are billions of these people who were previously disenfranchised, who are now enfranchised, and who now can behave like first world people, normal people, who can do all the things with money that we take for granted, which for us is normal.
Yeah. So let's talk a bit about Azteco, your company. Your unique approach involves Bitcoin vouchers or gift cards. How does this mechanism make it easier for the unbanked population to participate in the economy and gain financial stability? How does that work?
Most of the people who actually, all the people who are living in these unbanked demographics don't pay their telephone bills in arrears. They pay in advance for any use they're going to make of SMS or internet or making a mobile phone call over GSM. And so, in a flash of insight, back in 2012, I realized that we could get these people onto Bitcoin using a voucher system that they already
Mm,
understand. So all of these people already understand going to a store, buying a 16-digit voucher, and then topping up their phone with airtime so that they can make calls and receive calls. So there's no reason why we couldn't do this with Bitcoin, since Bitcoin actually isn't money. It's a database. It's just a piece of software. So putting these two things together, that's how I came up with the idea of the Azteco Bitcoin voucher, a super simple way of delivering Bitcoin to anybody who wants it and the people who need it, actually.
that's incredible. So could you just walk us through how that works? What's the process like of obtaining and using one of the Azteco Bitcoin vouchers?
Well, you would go to your local supermarket, and when you're buying whatever you're buying, you would ask for a $10 Azteco voucher, and it would come straight out of the point of sale device with a 16-digit code on it. And then you take that 16-digit code, put it into the Azteca website, paste in your Bitcoin address of your wallet, and then press redeem. Then we send $10 worth of Bitcoin to that address in about 3 seconds, and the
Wow,
whole process is done. And of course, once
incredible.
you have that Bitcoin on your phone, you're able to send it to anybody on Earth instantaneously, and also to use it to pay for things online in a way that is not reversible. So the possibility of payer fraud in Bitcoin is reduced to zero, meaning that it's going to be a super attractive method of payment for all e-commerce sites where they have terrible trouble with chargebacks with credit cards.
Fascinating. So let's make this real for everyone. Can you share some real life examples of where Azteco services have made a tangible difference for the lives of the unbanked?
Well, we have a very illustrative and nifty video of our friend Kogatsu in South Africa describing how he uses Bitcoin and what it means to his way of life and convenience for him.
In my daily life, I use Bitcoin to buy electricity, buy airtime, and even buy groceries. I also use it to travel, pay for my flights, and also, when I'm in another country and find a place that can accept Bitcoin, I always go there. It has, taught me to be a little more frugal. I do not spend Bitcoin that I don't have or spend on purchases before I have saved up fully to acquire them. A lot of people benefit from using Bitcoin in the manner that now they are able to receive Bitcoin from effectively anywhere in the world and send Bitcoin to effectively anywhere in the world. It's so easy to send a Bitcoin transaction and verify that the transaction went through. So now people in low-income countries are in a position to work and receive Bitcoin and transact on a day-to-day basis.
Well, that's incredible. What a great story. Looking to the future, Akin, what's your vision for Azteco's role in achieving financial inclusivity and empowerment for the unbanked? Is there anything upcoming that we should be looking forward to or excited about?
Yes, well, we have a very large rollout in Latin America coming up, which we're very excited about, and then a particularly interesting one in Mexico. So those are two things to look out for. And as a general position, we're looking forward to being the number one way people get small amounts of Bitcoin worldwide. There's no other service like us, and our way of getting Bitcoin is a perfect market fit for literally billions of people. And once these people are all onboarded to ethical Bitcoin wallets, then we're going to have a whole new constituency folded into the global e-commerce system with a payment method which is payer fraud free. This is going to unleash literally billions of dollars of transactions on a weekly basis for anybody who runs an e-commerce site who wants to interact with people who previously they couldn't interact with. It's a want of a better phrase, it's a revolutionary idea that's going to change the world. It's going to change the world in the same way that cellular telephones being widely available throughout the world has changed the idea of how people communicate with each other. Now it's no longer calling up an operator to book a call to the far-flung places in the world. You can call people directly because everybody has a cellular telephone. There was a time before this was true, and there's a time before Bitcoin, and we're going into the time after Bitcoin. It's going to be totally normalized, and Azteco is going to be a key part in making this happen.
Thank you so much for sitting down with us, and we wish you all the best on this very noble journey.
It's a pleasure, Kristen. Thank you for having me.
Here's a bit of a story about the mighty in the small. First a bit today, then a bit every day. A bit for the rainy days and a bit for the special days. A bit here and there and a bit near and back home. A bit for you and a bit for me. Always up to me. At Azteco, we believe in the collective power of the little bits. So we give choice to all the bits that count, making it easy for everyone, everywhere to get Bitcoin and use it in their lives. Azteco Bitcoin vouchers for every bit of life.